Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You guys have heard one day too late
Over and over and over this week.
There's a reason for that. Back in January, God laid that phrase on my heart. And I still hear it every day. And as much as you've heard it, there's a danger of it not meaning anything. What if tomorrow really was one day too late? I mean, really. What if it was? Have you ever been late for anything? An appointment, school, work, anything like that? We all have at some point in time. Were there ever consequences for being late? If you're late for work, you could lose some pay, or you could get fired. If you're late too many times to school, you fail class. If you're late for the doctor, you could lose your appointment. Now, I want to talk today about something that you do not want to be too late for. Something that, if you miss it, it will cost you everything. If you have your Bibles today, turn to Luke chapter 16. Luke chapter 16, and I'll begin reading in verse 19. Luke chapter 16. There was a certain rich man who was clothed in purple and fine linen and fared sumptuously every day. And there was a certain beggar named Lazarus who was laid at his gate full of sores, desiring to be fed from the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table. Moreover, the dogs came and licked his sores. And it came to pass that the beggar died, and was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosom. And the rich man also died, and was buried. And in hell he lifted his eyes, being in torments, and seeth Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom. And he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus, that he may dip the tip of his finger in water, and cool my tongue. For I am tormented in this flame. But Abraham said, Son, remember that in thy lifetime thou receivest thy good things, and likewise Lazarus evil things. But now he is condemned, he is comforted, and thou art tormented. And beside all this, between us and you there is a great gulf fixed, so that they who would pass from here to you cannot, neither can they pass to us that would come from there. If you've ever been in church very much, this is a familiar story. Rich man goes to hell, poor man goes to heaven. What was it that really happened here? Was the final destination of these two men determined by their bank account? Did the rich man's money send him to hell? Did the fact that Lazarus was poor qualify him for heaven? What if it did? Where would that put you? I read somewhere that even the poorest of Americans are richer than 90% of the world. Would you not consider the top 10% the rich people? Your cell phone costs more than some people make in a year. Let me put a license on the cake for you. Jesus said in Luke 18, It's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to go to heaven. If that's true, where does that leave us? This is one of the reasons that this church is not full. We got too much stuff. Our spirit starves while we serve our stuff. And we want more. The rich man's money did not send him to hell, but his attitude toward it did. He lived a very luxurious life. He had everything he wanted. If he had lived in our time, he would have had a big fancy house. We would probably call it a mansion. He would have had the finest of cars, probably a chauffeur. He would probably had a vacation home somewhere, maybe even a yacht. All the things that we work for. He would have had all the latest toys, electronics, everything that most people in America today are looking for. And in this country, if we don't have it, we have the opportunity to earn the money and get what we want. It wasn't that way for Lazarus. He had nothing, and he was very sick. Imagine being covered with sores to the point that no one even wants to be around you. I mean, I'm talking big, oozing sores that the dog is going to take. Imagine begging for your next meal. So what was the difference in these two men spiritually? Why did one end up in hell and one end up in heaven? Lazarus had nothing. And he had to trust God for everything that he had for his next meal. He had to live by faith. The rich man didn't need anything. He relied on his money, and it served him well in this life. He lived luxuriously, so much so that it never occurred to him that he needed God. He may even have thought, God has blessed me so greatly. He must really love me. I must really be right with God because he wouldn't give me all this stuff if I wasn't right with him. Your bank account has nothing to do with your relationship with God unless it comes before him. Verse 22 says they both died. Lazarus went to paradise, the rich man went to hell. The rich man lifted up his eyes, being in torments. You ever notice that's plural? It's not just torment, it's torments. Hell is a much worse place to live than that. Once he finds himself there, then he begins to beg.